Hi everyone, in this Framer tutorial we're gonna create this amazing kinda glitchy scroll variant effect while showing the icons for our sections. As soon as this section is in the view, its icon appears with a really nice effect, right? Of course, as always, you can find the links for both starter and finished files in the description below. So let's get started. We have this sticky stack that includes our icon and a frame that's called icon with gradient background, which we're going to clone to create top and bottom parts that we're going to animate. I've also added some transform properties to it that we're gonna need later, like scale, rotate, perspective, etc. And on the right, we have our card stack that includes our text content. Let's create our icon wrap component. In the component screen, I will make the height of the icon frame 100, basically half of its actual height, and rename it icon top. Then I'll click the second box next to radius to be able to edit the radius of its bottom corners separately, and as I see it, they're already 0 now somehow after clicking it. And I'm gonna duplicate icon top, select the one at the bottom and name it icon bottom, and remove its top pin and make its bottom spacing 0. Then I will make the radius of its top corners 0 and bottom ones 15. Now we can change the gradients of top and bottom frames to create the gradient in the beginning. To do that, after selecting icon top frame, I'm gonna click the gradient next to its fill and change the color stop on the right to color in the middle of the original gradient. Then I will select icon bottom frame, and while its left color stop is selected, paste the same color code, basically the middle one, and since we already have the and color set for the second color stop, we have the original gradient in 2 pieces, right? Now we can clone the material icon and carry one to the icon top frame and the other one to the icon bottom to have the half of it in each frame. Now if we delete icon top, we can see the bottom part is there, so we basically have each half of the icon visible in the frames. Since we're gonna have multiple icons, it's better to gather each icon's top and bottom frames under a frame, right? So I will select icon top and bottom frames, and with command return, I'm gonna wrap them in a frame and name it icon 1. Now we can transform the top and bottom frames to start creating our animation. First, I will select icon top, enter 2 for its scale to create a better effect while keeping the icon's actual size same. And to create the flip effect from the middle, we need to enter 100% for its Y origin, and if I make its X rotation 90 by shift up arrow, you can see how we can fold it. But to make the animation more interesting and create the flip effect, we're gonna rotate it 180 degrees more, entering 270 for it, and also enter 180 for its Y rotation, again to make the effect more interesting. Then I will select icon bottom and enter 2 for its scale. To transform it from the middle, I will make its Y origin 0. To demonstrate how we're gonna rotate it, I will just tweak its X rotation with shift down arrow, and as you see, we can fold it by entering -90 for its X value. But as I said, for a more interesting effect, we're gonna rotate this one also 180 degrees more and enter -270 for its X rotation. Also, its Y rotation is gonna be -180. To flip it in the opposite direction of the top part. Now we can create the second variant. To avoid any confusion later on, I will rename it variant 1, 2. since I want variant 2 to have the second sections icon. In variant 1.2, we need our first icon to be completely visible in its actual size, right? So I will select both icon top and bottom, make their scale 1, and X and Y rotation 0. Now we can go back to home screen and add a scroll variant effect to our component, right? Trigger is gonna be section in view, and viewport is gonna be center. Section is gonna be 1. Scroll section of our first card, and 2 is gonna be variant 1, 2. Now we can see when we scroll down, as soon as the first card is in the viewport, our icon component gets animated, right? For a better effect, we can make it a little slower though. So after going to component screen, when the first variant is selected, I will click spring next to its transition and enter 0.6 for time, and I will make the bounce 0.3. Now, before testing, I noticed if we make some changes to icon one frame, we can create an even more interesting, a popular glitch-like effect. So I will select icon 1 under variant 1 and make its height 1 pixel and vertically center it. Then of course I'll need to reposition icon top in the first variant by entering -100 for its top and 0 for its bottom position, and icon bottom by entering -100 for its bottom position and 0 for its top. By making these changes in the first variant, we make sure that it's the way we want and consistent in both variants. Now when we preview our effect, we can see it's much better, right? Having that popular glitch effect. Now we can go to icon wrap component screen and add other variants, right? But before it, to make things easier, I will duplicate icon 1 frame, select the 1 at the bottom and name it icon 2, and we'll repeat these steps to create icon 3 and 4. Then I will duplicate the first variant, name it variant 2, duplicate variant 2 and name it variant 2.2. And since this last variant is going to show the icon for the second variant, I'm gonna select icon top and bottom under icon 2 frame and make their scale 1, X and Y rotation 0 to make icon 2 completely visible in this variant. Then of course I need to change the icon for icon 2 frame, but I'm gonna do that in the first variant to change that once across all variants. So in the first variant, I will select both material components under icon 2 and change it to auto awesome. Since the second variant is the one that we're gonna use for transition, I'm gonna drag a connection from it to the 2.2 one and select appear as trigger and enter 0.5 second for delay. I'll repeat the same steps for the third set of variants. So after duplicating the first variant, I'm gonna rename it variant 3 and duplicate the variant 3 and name it variant 3.2, and again, since in this variant we need icon 3 to be fully visible, I'm gonna select top and bottom halves and make their scale 1 and X and Y rotations 0. Again, to be able to change its icons across all variants, I will select both material components under icon 3 and select chat icon. Then, as the last step of the new set of variants, I'm gonna drag a connection from the first one to the second one and select appear as trigger and 0.5 for delay. I'll repeat the process of creating a new set of variants once again to create the last set of them. Now that we have all the variants of the icon wrap component, we can create the card component, right? So after going back to home screen, I will select the card stack, make it a component, and in the component screen to assign our text contents values to the variables. First, I will select the headline and click in the content under the text section. I'm gonna create a plain text variable and name it headline. The only other variable we need is the text we have, right? So after selecting and clicking the content under the text section, this time I'm gonna create a formatted text variable. Now we can go back to home screen, clone the card component, change its scroll section and its content, right? I'll repeat these steps to create the other cards. Now we can add all the sections to our scroll variant effect, right? I will make sure variant 1, 2 is set for section 1. I will add another section, select 2 for section and variant 2 for the variant, 3 for variant 3, and so on. Lastly, I will add footer as another section and select variant 1 to create a nice outro effect when we reach the bottom of the card section. Now we can test our completed scroll variants, right? But before that, let's make sure section 1 is selected for the go to top button component at the very bottom. And when we preview, we can see the effect works perfectly, right? As soon as a card is in the view, its icon appears with our great glitch style effect. And when we reach to the bottom, we can see a nice fade out in the style. But when we scroll up to view the first variant, it just kinda appears with a more plain fade-in effect, right? Since we don't use a transition from its first state to trigger it via scroll in the first variant, we need to create a second variation of its first variant, right? So after going to icon wrap component screen, I will duplicate variant 1, name it variant 1.1, place it on top of variant 1.2, drag a connection from it to 1.2 and select appear and 0.5 for delay. Now we need to go back to home screen and select variant 1.1 instead of 1.2 for section 1. Now we can preview. And when we scroll down to section 2 and scroll back up to 1, the first variant appears with a much better animation, right? Matching the other ones. I hope you liked the tutorial. If you want to see more, be sure to subscribe, turn the notifications on, check my other tutorials, and see you in the next one.